Good morning, everyone. 5th of June, Oaks Day. I'm going to try and whiz through a few picks today. 5 of them, which are listed below this video in the descriptions if you can't be bothered to get to the end, which is fair enough. And as always, I'm in GGs. I'm increasingly trying to focus on pace as the weigh-in and race setup, specifically looking for horses who may get an uncontested lead or those who will race prominently tracking the pace. And I will keep bagging this drum for as many videos as I record, but I believe that is one of the best ways to help shortlist, cut time, and greatly improve results over time. And if you can kind of stick to that, not necessarily as a specialism, but as making it your main way in to a race, I think you'll do okay over time. So I've flicked through nearly all the cards today actually with the pace maps and dabbled a bit deeper. We'll see how we go. The first of them's Boiling Point, who I thought was big enough at 5-1, and we've got 3 places. And I suppose I'm often more of a bullish kind of on the nose player, but when you've got pace angles and you think possibly uncontested leads or the jockey's able to get breathers in horses, it does kind of increase their chance of being thereabouts, and a safety first approach isn't necessarily a bad thing. Let me just dive into the pace map, which you can see here. As always, best organising by the draw. Number 1 up against the inside rail. Obviously check against that for races on straight courses, especially 5 or 6 furlongs. Sometimes the stall's in the centre, sometimes the stall's on the stand side, which means the higher numbers would be up against the rail. That's certainly true for the 3-year-old Dash. Sorry, I'm darting around already. I did have a look at this, but you can see here these ones may get marooned more up the middle of the track. That doesn't necessarily stop them. There has been the odd low drawn winner in this race, though it tends to pay to be up here. I must admit I did have a ponder on She's Got Bother. Very inexperienced, downhill's totally new. She was a bit green and keen behind Nana's Shadow at York. I wasn't 100% sure why she would necessarily overturn that, but she has a lot of early speed and may grab this near side rail. I can see Katie Scott's horse not being far away either and up there. In the end, I thought it looked rather competitive and a bit of a headache, but if you did want some minor change from the sofa on one in this, I wouldn't necessarily put you off She's Got Bother, but certainly you can use that pace map as some kind of way. And of course there is a chance they all go far too hard and it sets up for a closer, but looking at that, I suppose, is an indication on paper that there's no horse that you think is going to get a freebie on the lead on what we know. And in this example, given us a 3-year-old only handicap as well, that could be one of the cases of putting a line through it. But obviously this is a festival, it's a big meeting. Many people like dabbles in these such of races, so I may have said something intriguing, of course I may not have, but let's just skip over that. I'm digressing already. On to Boiling Point. I think he's going to get a fairly soft lead. It depends what the Beckett horse Kirat does, but it can be Keen. I'd be a bit surprised if Colin Keane is really aggressive from the gate, and I can't see what else is going to take Boiling Point on, to my eyes. Of course, always around this mile track, those that are wide have a question of Oisin Murphy might decide to bomb on. Maybe Sylvester de Souza likes to be aggressive, but from a lower draw, Boiling Point can get out and everything else might decide to slot around. And that ability to dictate, especially around the bend where you can slow it down, stack them up, could be important. Cole Burks are in form. I'm not going to take a deep dive into the opposition as such, would be here all day, but this horse clearly has a lot of ability. The question for him is how much good to soft is in this ground. The more good the better. That's the only niggle. He has been better on good to firm, although Goodwood was good to soft in places, and I thought he was just fine, so I suppose that tipped it over the edge, and especially from an each way perspective. Clifford Lee jumps back on, ran as if needing it in Newmarket, but shaped quite well in a Group 3 there. Goodwood was decent. I'm not sure they went that quick. led for a time, then slot into second. So I hope he leads, but certainly going to be prominent if something decides to go quicker. They may not have gone that quick, and they got racing early, but he did pick up eventually, stuck his head down, and showed a really, really good attitude. And it might be better that he's actually better, I should say, with a more aggressive ride over short. That this is kind of 8.5 furlongs. That win at Newmarket in what was a 23 runner Cambridgeshire. That's obviously one of the most competitive handicaps later in the season under top weight, which is unheard of. Signalled him as a black type horse, and he got his listed win. But as a 5-year-old, I suspect there could be a bit more to come here on his third start of the season, of the turf season proper. Clifford Lee's riding very well. Jockeys with confidence is always a big tick, of course. And yeah, I thought he was going to kind of get his own timing up front, and be able to do what he wants, really, Clifford Lee. So that increases his chance of being thereabouts. He's obviously got a bit of class, comes here on the back of a win, has a great attitude. Like I said, if he does flounder, then the ground's possibly softer than advertised, and that may blunt him. But everything else in this has questions for me, bar maybe Seagull's 11. Won a listed race well in Longchamp 12 days ago over there, back and forward. We'll give this a good go. Chance does need it to be proper soft and dig in the ground. Might well come over the top of me late, but the odds, I thought, boiling point each way for various reasons, with that pace map as a way in, was intriguing. A stonking speed rating as well, with GG speed ratings. Persica won this last year with a hold-up ride. Maybe this has been the plan, but I thought possibly a bit too disappointing on return at the odds. That's Epsom. Let's move on. I did flick through the rest of the card, but those handicaps look as competitive as you get. And I've gone elsewhere to some of the away meetings. Let's dive to Thirsk. Kind of good to soft ground. Shouldn't be too bad. Again, pace angle. You can probably see why. Having said this, I mean, it's clear that Taygar is going to be up there. He did lead for a time last time. I think Paul's going to get an uncontested lead. The stalls are in the centre. It can pay to be at Thirsk kind of a bit higher. Slight concern, but it wouldn't surprise me if they kind of come up arrow formation necessarily. Like I said, the stalls are in the centre. I think it might be possibly a bit of a way, but I could be wrong, for these ones near side to come and grab this near side rail. I suspect them to race up the centre of the course, and Paul Mulrennan might just edge over a little bit. But it looks like he's going to get to do his own thing. It looks a solid each way bet to me. He is going to be the one they have to aim at, or certainly might race alongside the Allen horse down here, ridden by Jack Gilligan, who's been aggressively ridden at times before, but has been happy to tuck in. So yeah, Taygar is interesting for me on that pace angle. And you know, backing that up, it's one thing going, do you think the horse is going to get an easy lead or be up there? You want the course and distance and the kind of ground and the number of runners history to back that up, which obviously get in GGs. You can change the going, the number of runners, depending on how the race shapes or the weather changes, but you can see the benefit of leading over this 6 furlong course and distance. And yeah, it's certainly the place to be, especially if you can get an uncontested lead. And plenty of these are ridden mid-division, held up, and would need to kind of change their tactics. Of course, it's not always as easy as that. You can then take a deeper dive in to the horses. I've got this set on flat handicaps. This is GG's excellent instant expert tab. On Thursdays, if you've got a free account, link below, you should all have a free account. You get access to every instant expert dashboard for every card. Various other free tools every other day as well. I forget what Friday is, in fairness. We can see here, ground with ease in it is no problem to him, is actually a benefit. Plenty of these have a question with a bit of kind of squelch in the ground. It's not going to be on the softer side, but again, None in here have got form on proper softs. A few of these might want it quicker. Taygar, for me, actually wants the sting taken out of the ground, and I think that's another reason why he might improve on some recent efforts. He's got course experience. He needed the run there, as most of Michael Dodd's did this season. Field size is fine. He's £5 below his last, below his last winning mark, so he's well handicapped on that front. And for me, the rest of them have loads of questions, certainly on this dashboard. And there's not exactly like there's proven class 5 horses dropping down either. If I move to, you can change the class and see the record here. Taygar is one of only two, with East Tyrone, who's actually won above this class as well, so he kind of brings that handicapping class angle into it also. And I must admit, I couldn't work out why he was such a big price, and he's been boosted by Bet365, which isn't never necessarily a good thing, but enough of them do win not to put me off. So he looks good on that basis. There's some supporting stats here. Again, in GGs you can set up a various kind of plethora of angles to pull through what you wish. These are the settings I have for different win percentages and various other different things. But Dodsall Moor Renan at Thirsk in the last 5 years, 8 from 38, 14 places, plus 12. SP, you can dive into that if you like, little micro angles and digging, and there might be and you can also dive into that if I just click on Michael Dodd's here, just to show you if you wanted to dive into stats and take a deeper dive. I can select the jockey, which will be Paul Mulrennan. Do check if the trainer has more than one runner in the race, because it will select the first jockey, but you can select which runner there. I can look at the course here, and yeah, you can see the record there. And in handicaps it improves a bit, 7 from 30, 13 places. And if I look over the distance, 2 from 9, 4 places. So yeah, trainer jockey looks a good booking, ticks some boxes there. Finally, the horse arrives in form. If we just want to dive in here, he knows how to win, hasn't got going yet this season, normally takes kind of 4 runs. Actually, he's won on his 5th start for the last 2 seasons. There's a chance I'm 1 run too soon. Do add him to your trackers on that basis. Interesting enough, winning on his 5th start for the last 2 seasons. Maybe he takes a few runs to get going. I'm hoping he's peaked 1 run earlier here. You can see this win off air, he was off 68. That was last July, not exactly many moons ago. That was on good to soft. I do wonder if he doesn't want it properly quick, although he does just seem versatile. But he's got a win on soft there, win on good to soft, first start of his career. So I think a bit of ease might be important to him, and sees him finish things off better. And I think this will be the softest he's run on this season. He needed the run at air, Thirsk. He ran well at air, bit outpaced on quick ground. And again, Redcar wasn't bad either. Again, disputed lead, didn't necessarily get an easy time of it, but he did keep on and he showed a good attitude. Both of those last races have produced a few winners, but that in context of where his handicap mark and his peak handicap mark is, to me, given his winning record, his recent form, it looks like he is going to strike very soon. The RPRs, another thing you can look at, they've been higher than his mark, which is always a positive. So yeah, he's £5 below that win. The Yard have hit some solid form for them in the last 14 days, so that's another box ticked. And for me, yeah, he looked the most interesting at what I thought was a half decent price, 13-2, especially with 3 places. If he gets swallowed up late, so be it, but with any luck he's got enough in the locker to cling on for a place in a race where I thought plenty of the others have questions galore. But we will race to find out. 4:45 Thirsk. Guess what? Pace was the way in. A class 5 furlong sprint. Again, you can see the ground, and if you set it from good to softs, it might be a mix. Leading is definitely the place to be, and if you could have landed on those that would have got a clear lead within the sample size here, you'd clearly be doing very well to Betfair SP. As we look at the pace map here, you can see why Dragon Spin was a way in on pace. And I don't think is going to be pestered. Blasted out the stalls last time and kind of led from pillar to post near enough. As always, if you've got time, you can watch replays. As you may or may not know, at the races and Racing UK have now got a kind of a shared agreement where they've got the replays across the board, which is very helpful. But in GGs in the last couple of years, this little video symbol here, you can just jump straight to the replay by clicking a button within the race card, which is also always very useful. I watched that race. I thought Dragon Spin, I thought she did that as Shay Cosley come the line. Dougie Costello's got to know her really well. She was going away again at the line for me and hitting it hard, which is always a very, very good sign, especially if you're deliberating one up in class. That might be something to put enough people off, and maybe that will be her undoing. But in that context, she's lightly raced. 1 from 5, 4 places on turf. She has a great attitude. She's a trier and hasn't had many goes at this level, with Nottingham on very soft as a 2-year-old, but did keep on. Some winners out of that race, and then we're into her 3-year-old season. Possibly needed it at Bath a bit, but again kept on. That's a speedier 5 furlongs than today's Thirsk 5, and it wasn't and ran well on seasonal return, fairly unfancied. And then Nottingham did win well. There's no form hook on in that sense in terms of how that's worked out as yet, although a couple have gone close since. Some of these races down here have produced a fair few winners. I just thought she looked interesting, and these sprinters, once they get in form, can really take off. The other tick was Steph Holland said does very well with last time out winners. Impact value 1.28, 28% are kind of above the training ranks and the numbers as a whole, which is represented by number 1. So anything above that is better than the average. Yeah, 5 from 21, 10 places last time out winners. That was a tick for me. Yes, up in class, but I've had a look through the rest, and along with that pace angle, some carrying a big weight, I thought she had every chance of running a big race here. And again, a 13-2 or so, thought looked interesting each way bet. If she blasts out the stalls, will be the one to catch, and it's not impossible. She stays there, and again, the ground doesn't seem a problem. So she seems versatile. So that's Thirsk. Obviously, you can then dive in deeper if you wish to different dashboards and everything else. But yeah, I've had a look through, and I was more than happy with her. I will dart to Bath, the last race, which is interesting enough. I've got a pace angle and an instant expert angle here. I've backed 2. If I get to this point in the day and need a winner in a Bath class 6, I might be in a bit of trouble. However, pace, as always, organised by draw. Nothing on the inside usually goes forward and leads. I'm hoping Man is King gets out, gets across, and is able to dictate. He should keep Bobby Dazzler out, who's not aggressively ridden, but might slot in. But in any case, Man is King looked interesting from a pace angle, and I can't work out why 6.5, 7-1, and maybe I'm going to find out soon enough. Again, a few kind of report angles there. Mr. Flood, the trainer, is doing very well in the last couple of years with his flat turf runners, and that might be worth noting more generally for what is a small yard. It clearly likes targeting Bath, although this horse is responsible for a few of those wins. And looking through the form, did well with a very aggressive ride over 8, possibly looks better over 10. Holly Doyle jumped on and won that fairly snugly for me from Galactic Glow, who didn't look the most convincing under pressure, and I thought that was a very comfortable win. Yes, up £5, but when you have an ability to possibly dictate again, maybe this horse responds well to female riders. Josephine Gordon's decent enough. She can get out and stack it up and then kick. Of course, the handicapper might catch up at some stage, but given the form this horse is in. I don't want to say that's going to happen yet, and I'd want to see him running around here from the front until that is proven. That might well be today. I don't think Lingfield proved that. You're always looking for excuses for a duffer run. I'm going to say 6 days on and a drop in trip at possibly a speedier 8 furlongs may well have done it. Yeah, but still ran well, was outpaced, rallied final 110 yards, so was still going through the line hard. A winner's come out of that, but maybe that distance beaten was the reason for this half decent price. But that was a fairly quick return, trying to escape or run under a penalty, and has a 17-day break here. Looks like getting an uncontested lead in what looks a weak race. Now, I've got further backup evidence as the instant expert, and you might well see then why I've also gone for a little dabble, I should say, on Moonlit Cloud. Certainly, if I look at the last 2 years, rather than going too far back, this is in flat handicaps, you can see why Man is King also jumps out as ticking all the various different profile boxes within this race card here. Plenty of them have stamina to prove and look like they've had plenty of goes and don't stay. Galactic Glow clearly was second behind Man is King 2 starts ago. Maybe the weight turnaround will be enough, but I'm thinking Man is King's attitude might be enough to fend off. We shall see. I might have that wrong, but the prices pulled me in as well. And the other one, if going further back, is Moonlit Cloud, who's 2 from 3 at the course and 2 from 2 over the course and distance. I suppose at 5 to 1 now, £18 below last winning mark. That got me intrigued, and if I just click on Moonlit Cloud to finish, I suppose at 5s I thought, given returning here, if he's ever going to bounce back to form, so if she's ever going to bounce back to form, it could be at Bath. Won here a couple of years ago off 70, hasn't really done much since, although you can give excuses for plenty of last year. Doesn't look like an all-weather horse for one, and I don't think maybe now getting a bit older necessarily lies good to firm, although I did win on it in Yarmouth. Plenty of runs with some ease in the ground, not so good on good to firm, and maybe doesn't want it very, very soft either. Should be here coming peak fitness after 2 runs, return runs. Interestingly, they take the cheek pieces off, which I found interesting. They don't seem to have done much. Previous wins were in no headgear. I thought if this mare is going to show any life, it's going to be at Bath. Hasn't been here for a while and is absolutely lobbed in on old form. Could bounce out, sit in third, cruise around, and if she bounces back to anything like her course best, then the rest of these, given the handicap ratings, are in big trouble. Dean Ivory's doesn't bang in many winners these days. They've been going okay. Thomas Greatrix doesn't ride many winners either, so there are a couple of negatives there, not necessarily one to go mad on, especially given recent form, but there are reasons to think a better performance could be incoming. Mainly, maybe Man is King will kick and Moonlit Cloud will come from the clouds and make an attack. Might be a bit too much asking for a reverse forecast, but you never know. But yeah, I'd like to see Man is King kind of get out and stay there. But yeah, that's 2 against the field. As always, that's a quick skip through, as quick as I could do while trying to make this video interesting and informative, especially when I've got 5 on side today, and fingers crossed a couple of them can get their heads in front and the rest can, very worst, stay in the mix and stay in the places. But if you've got this far, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so you get alerts for future videos, and as always, if you want to get a free account, totally free account with a load of free tools available, then click the link below in the description for GG's, and also, obviously, if you want to take your form analysis and a deeper dive and become your own instant expert, you can take a 30-day trial for £1 also below, which I would also encourage you all to do. So yeah, thanks for watching, good luck with any bets today, and yeah, fingers crossed for a few winners. Cheers.